So I'm going to spend a fair bit of time on the register of approved vehicles because that's something we can focus on now and test in our businesses and make sure we know how it works, what we need to do with it, because it is fairly in-depth and it's one of the key elements of the RVSA. So we'll go through that. The register of approved vehicles, what is it? So it's an online, publicly searchable database of vehicles managed by VSS. The details of each and every vehicle and trailer approved for road use will be entered on the RAV. So that's everything, not just our industry, that's motor vehicles, that's trucks. Everything that's road registered will be on this RAV, they're searchable by VIN. The RAV will replace the need, as I said before, for the motorhome and camper van guys. The RAV replaces the need to fit motor vehicles with a physical compliance plate. So our motor vehicles today, if you go and check it, it might have a label in the door, pop the bonnet, it might have a plate riveted to the engine bay somewhere. But the RAV will actually replace the need to fit those physical compliance plates for motor vehicles only. Trailers will still be required to fit a physical compliance plate, or a trailer plate as we call it, in addition to putting that information on the RAV. This was never initially in the RVSA legislation, but we felt it was absolutely critical for trailers to still hold a physical compliance plate because you need to know the trailer's ratings and weights to then know its eligibility and suitability for the tow vehicles. So as a result, trailers will still need to hold a physical compliance plate moving forward. As for how that will look and what information will need to be on those trailer plates, from what we gather, the trailer plates under the RVSA will be quite similar. The compliance statement will naturally change from you complying that you saying you comply with the MBSA 1989 to the RVSA 2018. But we're not 100% sure of what other information may need to go on those plates. So we'll keep everyone up to date in terms of that, because you may need to look at doing smaller stock runs or designing new trailer plates if you manufacture your own moving forward. So what information will you be putting on the RAV as a light trailer importer or manufacturer? The mandatory fields in the RAV will be model, VIN, the type approval number, which is going to be issued to you upon successfully getting a type approval, the type approval holder name, the vehicle category code, which is what we covered off before, the TA, the TV, the TC, the TD, based on the GTM rating of the product you're manufacturing, the ATM rating of the product, the GTM rating of the product, the tear mass in kilograms. So those two aspects there, the GTM rating and the tear, historically for light trailers hasn't been mandatory. In ADR 61, which is the one that tells us what we need to put on our compliance plates, you technically don't need to put the GTM rating and tear mass. 95% of the people in the room put that on the plate anyway, because it's important information for everyone to know for load carrying and for assessing tyre loads, etc. But we have also lobbied hard to get the GTM rating and tear mass as a mandatory field on the RAV. So this, I assume, will affect the guys particularly doing the lighter trailers and camper trailers who historically don't like to put a tear or don't put a tear and GTM on their trailer plates on their product. They'll need to now know exactly what that tear mass is in the GTM mass is, GTM rating is on those smaller camper trailers to be able to put them on the RAV. Remembering that the customer at any time will be able to run that VIN number in the RAV and bring up that data on your product and check if it matches up with the actual trailer they have. The build date, the entry pathway subcategory, so for the majority of people in the room that will be type approval standard. As I said, I'm not focusing on the concessional pathway, which is for people not wanting to go down full approvals or believe that they're eligible for the concessional pathway, and if you believe you are, definitely look into that. But as I said, for the majority of people, everyone will be going type approval standard. And then whoever authorises the RAV entry from the business is the last piece of information there. So when can I put a vehicle or trailer onto the RAV? So you can only put a vehicle onto the RAV, and I'll go into how you get a vehicle onto the RAV a little bit later. But you can only put it on there once the vehicle or trailer's manufacturing is complete, once the trailer is covered by a type approval, once the vehicle or trailer is in Australia, and complies with the requirements of the legislation. So as I said just before, once added to the RAV, the record can be searchable by using the VIN only. Holders of the type approval must be enrolled and authorised by the department to enter records onto the RAV. these are all these checks and balances to make sure that those products that are coming in that potentially don't comply or aren't committed to compliance can't make it onto the road. These are all these checks and balances, the RAV, the type approvals, the manufacturing facility approvals, to ensure that we're all lifting as an industry. So enrolling and testing the RAV in your business, this is something you can do right now, and I strongly encourage every single person in this room to be looking at enrolling and testing in your business right now. The latest version of the test RAV, or the test environment, has been up since April 19 to trial. So with the knowledge that you get from doing the test, you'll be able to plan and prepare your internal systems accordingly to ensure you have the capacity to enter all vehicles and trailers on the RAV that leave your factories. So depending on volume, it may not be as much of an issue for those smaller volume manufacturers who may be able to enter them manually one at a time or once a week. But if you're doing some high volume, there may be some IT solutions you can use to automate that system and that process for you. So how do I enroll and participate? And I see a fair few people in the room I know who are already participating, and we're happy to help you with that process if you have trouble doing it. But first of all, you fill out a RAV enrolment spreadsheet with the required information, which is available on their website, which I'm happy to provide the link to afterwards. You email the completed RAV enrolment spreadsheet to that email address. But having said that, pretty much everyone in this room should have already received an email with detailed instructions on how to enrol from either ourselves, if you're an RVMAP accredited business, or from Caravan Industry Victoria as members.